Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Warner, Assistant AD for Communications here at James Madison University. We're very excited to begin a new chapter for JMU women's basketball today as we welcome to the helm a new head coach. We'd like to thank everyone who's joined us here at the Convocation Center for this occasion. Our JMU women's basketball student athletes, seated up front, are members of the media, as well as all of our supporters in JMU Nation. We'd also like to thank those who are joining us today streaming live on Madazone, as well as joining us on our live social media platforms. JMU Director of Athletics, Jeff Bourne, will announce our new hire and then turn it over for comments from our new head coach. At that time, we'll open the floor for questions from the media. At this time, please welcome JMU AD, Jeff Bourne.
Thanks, Kevin. Good afternoon and welcome. It's great to see an awesome turnout here this afternoon for what's going to be an exciting opportunity for me. It's great this afternoon to announce a new leader who will be at the helm of our women's basketball program, Shauna Reagan. Before I go further, I do want to be sure to recognize a group of individuals that really helped us through this hire. Many times when you hire from within, there's a perception that, well, they just went through the motions. That could not be further from the truth. There was a lot of work that was done in this search, and it took a lot of time. And I want to thank our committee, one of the guys that helps us every single time we go through one of these and is really there at the backbone, our Senior Vice President for Administration and Finance, Charlie King. Charlie, we appreciate you. Thanks very much. Vanessa Evans Grevious is not, I don't think she's here today, but Vanessa's a member of our BOV Board of Visitors. She's on our athletic committee. Did a great job providing some balance and insight to us. I want to thank her. And also Jennifer Phillips. Those of you that know Jen's our SWA and Associate Athletic Director for Compliance. Really helpful, Jen. Thank you. We appreciate your time. And then last but not least, Dave Brain, who served as our search consultant on this search. There were a lot of names and a lot of information behind the scenes that nobody ever really knew about and things that were done, and I want to thank him for his work. He did a wonderful job and worked tirelessly through several days and weeks to get us to this point, so I appreciate him. No coach ever does things alone. You got to have a great sports center, right? We all know that in our lives, no matter what we do. And today, we're glad to have Kara, Liam, and Addison with us. That's Sean's family. And we really appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you sharing your dad and your spouse with us. I'm sure there are probably days that you think we share him with you, right? Given the amount of time he works. But we're glad to have you here, and congratulations. You know, our program, women's basketball program, has been a model of success for a long time. We've been very good. Any team that basically has 11 seasons with 24 wins, you win 5 out of 7 CAA championships, you're ranked in the top 40 in the country and at times as high as 25, you're doing something right. Something is right about your program. And when we started looking for a coach, obviously one of the individuals that was high on our list was Shauna Reagan. I have watched Sean in practice. I watched him coaching games. I watched his relationship around student athletes. And I've always been impressed with his work ethic and his concern for young people and the ability to grow them. And I know deep down it's those characteristics that are going to make him a great coach going into the future. As I mentioned earlier, we had a strong group of finalists for this position, really, really good coaches. But in the end, it was all those qualities in Sean that when the committee sat down and talked about it, it was a very clear decision. We had found the right person to lead this program. Why? Well, he's an alum. He does things the right way. He understands this campus. He understands our professors. He understands academic support. And when young people need something, he knows where to go to get the resources to help them get the job done. He's an individual that's been that strong backbone of a program, and it's his day and his time to be the new leader. He's the bridge. He's a perfect bridge between where we were, the great success that we've had, and he'll be the bridge to brighter days ahead, because I think this program will continue to do extremely well, and we've got a chance to even be better than we've been in the past. With things like new facilities and support like the people that are sitting out here today, continued support I might add, will allow him to do what he needs to do. He is the right man for the job. He's the perfect fit in my mind, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure this afternoon to introduce to you the new head coach of our women's basketball program, Shauna Reagan.
It's a dream come true right here. It's unbelievable. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. This room is much more filled than I thought. I shouldn't say room. Gym is much more filled than I thought. The support here at JMU is really humbling, and it's something I talk about all the time to recruits parents, to, even the assistants I just called an hour ago. So it's really nice to see all you guys out here. It'd be impossible for me to thank everybody who reached out to me. I'm working on that right now. I haven't got quite through the emails yet. I'm through the text, but I haven't got through the emails. But a couple people in particular. Number one, Jeff Bourne, obviously our athletic director you just heard from. Jen Phillips, being open and keeping communication with me throughout this last week has been crucial for my sanity. Charlie King was mentioned earlier, been a huge help, and Jeff mentioned Vanessa Evans-Grevious as well. I know President Alger can't stay this whole time, but President Alger he's who you'd want as a president, and what I mean by that is that whole crew, including President Alger, they're not just administrators. They really support us, they really support you guys, and that part is invaluable. That part is really invaluable, and I'm going to tell you a story. We are pulling up to the first round of the CAA tournament this year. And we're pulling up, it's 10:30, and we have a 12 o'clock game, which we all remember that game. That gave me a heart attack enough. So we're pulling up at 10:30 for a 12 o'clock game, and there's usually a couple people, the early risers that want to get the tickets and get in the gym. But we pull up, and outside my window, I see President Alger and his wife at 10:30 a.m. on our first round game. Okay, that's not, hey, I'll wait till they get to the championship. That to me, that's real support. We can feel that as a team as well, so thank you very much. I'd also like to take a minute and thank the media presence, okay? That's really important in feeling relevant. And, when these guys have a good game, sometimes when they have a bad game, you guys are always there to cover them and give us the exposure that they deserve. They work hard for that, and I'm glad that you guys are here to help us get that exposure. Also, Mike Pryor and Devin Howard. If you guys have not seen Mike Pryor's stuff, tune in, man. Find Twitter, find something. That guy is really good at what he does, and working with Devin Howard, he's one of the best. He's one of the best. Of course, they've already been mentioned, but I would not be where I am without my family. My wife, Kara, if you knew the amount of stuff she did for me, whew. She's great, though. She's been my backbone these last 2 weeks, too, keeping me straight. Obviously, my son, Liam, who stole my daughter's baby doll right now, and my daughter, Addison. Both my parents are here, too. My mother, Susan, and my dad, Brian. I don't know how he got back. He was in California, and I did not expect him to be here, so thank you. Lastly, as far as my thank yous, I'd be remiss not to thank Kenny Brooks for this opportunity. And I hope you guys all understand what he had to do and what he felt he had to do. But without Kenny Brooks, I wouldn't be here today. And he was the one, when I was a manager here, he was my guy I'd go to for the first 3 years of being a student here at James Madison. He's the guy that, I don't want to say recruited me to coach on the women's side, but that's exactly what he did. And his tutelage, his guidance, he improved my leadership skills. He improved me as a coach. He spent a lot of time, any meeting where one of you guys made a mistake, I got to sit in on and hear how the best way to discipline them fairly, or, hey, we got a real problem with scheduling, let's talk about it. But including me in all those decisions, that part to me has helped prepare me for this stage. And that part for Coach Brooks, I really thank him. What I envision with this, is that this program is incredibly storied. And you can look behind me at all the banners up there, incredibly storied, over 1,000 wins. And I think we are now one of 5 because some people keep pushing up in there. But it's an incredibly storied program, and there's a lot of pride here. And the way I took it was that Sheila Moorman passed the baton on to Kenny Brooks. And he had that pride. When we're sitting in the office stressing about why we lost that game by 2, it was the pressure of carrying on that tradition and having the pride for James Madison. All right, that's something that I'm going to take very seriously here, is that he's now passed the baton on to me. And you'd be foolish to think he's not going to tune in game 1 and see how we're doing. All right? So that's something, his contribution to my life has been huge, and I'll be forever thankful for that. That being said, I am truly honored to accept this opportunity. And this is something that really is a dream that's now becoming a reality. And it's important to me to let you guys understand it's not just a job for me, all right? This community has accepted me, and this is a big part of my life and my family's life. I mean, the fact I'm on the phone yesterday and one of my neighbors comes over and gives me a hug. I mean, one of my former neighbors is sitting right here 4 rows back. I mean, that is what this place is. That's what this place is, and it's very special. So I'm very excited for this opportunity. Now, these guys right here, these players right here, and I'm going to try to contain myself, but these guys are the reason I do this, all right? The relationships I have with them is the reason I coach, all right? And I fell into a unique situation because you put in all this time building these relationships, and sometimes you never get to hear how each player actually feels about you. And I got to go through that the last 2 weeks. And what I've been through with them the last 2 weeks will make us extremely close throughout this entire year. Now, getting to what we're going to do here, okay? So most importantly, we built something that's incredible, okay? Not solid, more than solid, it's incredible. So we're going to continue to have the same core values that we've been successful with, all right? We're going to be respectful, we're going to play hard, we're going to play with passion, all right? And that's something that's really important to us, and we're going to continue to do that, all right? So that part's not going to change. But yes, my fingerprints are going to be all over this program, and we're going to tweak here, tweak there, all right? But the core values of what you guys watch every time you come out here will not change. All right, our expectations, those will rise. And not to say that they weren't before, but they're going to continue to rise. And we want to continue to be on the national scene. And that's what we're here for. We're not here to win 22 games and play in the WNIT. No offense, WNIT. All right, we're here to make waves on the national scene in the NCAA tournament. Again, I want them to know, and I want you guys to know, this is our team. This is not all of a sudden Kenny Brooks passed this to me and it's my team. This is our team. We're going to share this together this year. Lastly, again, I spoke on it a little bit, but again, you guys are what makes this great. And the fact, all the faces I'm seeing, I got Ashley Perez back there who had surgery yesterday in the afternoon. She's probably seeing double back there, but she's here. All right. You know, I've seen a lot of your faces, man. I'm really impressed that you guys are showing up, and the support that you guys have given me in the last 2 weeks has been really humbling and overwhelming to me. How close of a community this is. So, again, I appreciate your support. I'm extremely honored, humbled, and excited to be the new head coach at James Madison. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to open it up to members of the media with questions. Please flag down one of the microphones to address your questions either to Jeff Bourne or to Shauna Reagan.
Yeah, I guess, Sean, when you're interviewing for this job, are you nailing that interview? Are you feeling like it's going pretty good when you're doing that, or what?
I don't think you ever feel like you nail an interview. But no, I mean, I think I had a distinct advantage over two other external candidates in that interview. And just to say that, I felt a little bit better going through it just because of my knowledge of the program and where we stood and where we're at and, everything kind of like that. So I feel like I had a little bit of an advantage in there.
Jeff, kind of on that same note, when he's interviewing, are you hearing a lot of stuff that you thought he'd basically say to you?
I did. I think every committee member did as well. I would say, though, the other two candidates interviewed extremely well. They were very impressive. When you go through a process like this, though, you're looking for a lot of different things. And I have to agree. I mean, Sean, we've had a chance to watch him live it. Not just say it, but actually do it. How's the relationship with the players? How do you develop talent? What do you like on the recruiting path? How do you get along with the members of the media, my staff, university? We'd seen that in him, and so I do think it was certainly an advantage.
Coach O, up here, how's it going? How do you describe what the last 2 weeks of transition has been like for you?
I wish I could say easy. But really, the where I've ended up, it's been. I mean, the last couple of days has been some of the best of my life. And again, I don't think I've been sleeping very much in those 2 weeks. But it's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster a little bit, but certainly at the end, I mean, the payoff for this is, it's a dream come true.
And Mr. Bourne, this has been kind of a month-long process of trying to calm the waters. How do you feel now that the waters are kind of now not as rocky?
I'm glad the last search is out of the way. We don't want to have any more for a long while. We believe we've got great coach in Sean, and that he will lead this program to further heights. I frankly am glad that this time is over with, and you feel better when you get on the other side and you feel confident, and it feels good to be at a good place.
Sean, you said this is a dream. I guess, did you kind of envision Kenny one day moving and you kind of taking his program over?
Yeah, I bet you more recently than certainly when I first got here. I was low man on the totem pole up there and slowly worked myself up. But certainly in the last 2 or 3 years, you're always kind of aware of that possibility. And very honestly, it was far-fetched. I knew how deep his roots were here, so I never necessarily stuck around for that fact, but it was, of course, it's always a possibility.
Were there thoughts of following him to Tech, and when did this job kind of, I imagine it was kind of a logical thing to do. Yeah,
for me, being the head coach at James Madison is far above being an assistant at Virginia Tech because of where I went to school and the pride of this program and how much I care about those 9 girls right there.
Coach O in the back. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wolf Golke with NBC 29. I wanted to ask, you mentioned that you guys want to be on the national scene, and you've mentioned that this is your team, not Kenny's team. But what will you take from what Kenny has already laid down, and then what will you do differently to kind of take that next step?
Yeah, Kenny's done an unbelievable job, and it's what we've done here the last 9 years, and again, his 14, but my last 9, I think is some huge shoes to fill, and that's a reality. But what's easier for me is that I'm not building from ground zero, and so what I understand the recipe for success here with them, and we can start from that point. So I'm going to continue to keep we're still going to touch the lines just like Kenny demanded, But again, we might change a little bit of our offensive style. We might change a little bit of our defensive style. But it's hard. 9 of my 13 years coaching have been with Kenny Brooks. So certainly, even if I took over another program, a lot of what I would do would be in line with his philosophies anyway.
And Jeff, for you, when going through the interview process with Coach O'Regan, did you get the sense that he did have a plan to take this team to the next step with Kenny leaving and with him coming into the head coaching position?
Definitely. It goes back to, I think it starts, knowledge is an important thing. In the end, passion speaks volumes. And just to see how badly he loves this school and how committed he is to these young women, and the ability that he has to recruit, that is a very important part of what we do. I think all of those elements together, for me, reinforce exactly where he is. And having had the chance to watch him through practice and through games, I know what he's capable of and what he can do. And that's, I think that for me was really the deciding factor.
Sean, I know you were kind of Kenny's right-hand man, but taking the next step in being a head coach, do you feel like there's anything that you have to learn on the job or anything like that? Or what was Kenny good at that maybe you have to learn now?
No, there's a certain level of different responsibilities. One of the things, I never had to deal with substitutions. You know what I mean? Little things like that I think will be, I think those things will be easy to overcome. I think being the decision maker with a discipline problem or something like that will be some new challenges for me. But I've just seen him work so much and have been so in depth with him that I'm confident that it'll be really an extension of him.
You're talking about assistants and calling people. Do you have an idea of who the staff will make up?
Timeless. I am nonstop. And I have one commitment, but no one's official, so I'm just going to leave it at, I'm diligently working to get the staff in here as soon as possible.
I know Kenny was kind of the local guy. Everybody knew him forever. You're kind of an outsider, but has been here a while now. Can you explain your path to JMU and maybe why you kind of stuck around?
Sure. When I was a senior in high school, I wanted to be a Division I head basketball coach. And I wrote a bunch of letters to coaches all over the nation. I mean, everywhere. Indiana, West Virginia, Florida State, I mean, everywhere. And I got a handful back. One of them was from Sherman Dillard. And my aunt and uncle lived in Roanoke. It brought me close enough that I was, again, from Vermont. So it brought me down here. And when I got here, I just loved it. So those 4 years, great. Loved it. Would absolutely come back anytime. I personally always thought I'd come back on the men's side and didn't envision the women's side. But, again, since he brought me back here, I was at University of Evansville as an operations guy for 2 and then moved up as an assistant coach on the men's side. And that was a great experience for me. That league at that time, we had 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. So, again, that path taught me enough, and I'm glad I chose that path instead of kind of hanging around then because I used that experience a lot here. So then he brought me back, and I slowly moved my way up the ladder again.
Son, congratulations. And in terms of recruiting, are there going to be any new or different recruits for the upcoming season, and how would you approach recruiting for the future seasons?
I'm working on that now. I've got a list of about 8 names up there that I can move on pretty quickly. Our 3 recruits that were signed in the fall will all keep their commitments here. Still working on figuring out what the best thing for us is going forward as far as a transfer or a freshman, bringing in a freshman. But that's very high up my list as far as being on top of that.
And Jeff, you hired both basketball coaches in a quite quick time, including Son in about 12 days. Did you know beforehand there's a good chance you might have to change staffs, and they come up as names you were interested in?
No, I really didn't. As an athletic director, you just look at searches as a huge commitment. I mean, it affects a lot of people, student athletes. It affects a lot of fans and donors, and you just want to try to make sure that you've been thorough with your search. It's hard to predict at the beginning of a search where you're going to end up. I mean, one of our consultants one time told us you often end up in a different place than where you thought you may have gone originally. The important thing is at the end, did you make a good decision and do you feel confident about it? And did you get that kind of support from your committee? And, we did in this search. And I guess at the end, I'm glad that it's finished. And I want him to stay a long time, be really successful, so it's good.
And Jeff, has a contract been finalized?
We have signed an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding. We'll take the next month and a half or so to hammer through the actual boilerplate of the contract, but the major terms have all been agreed to, and they're in that document.
And also, Jeff, was hiring a young coach part of a way to energize the fan base in hopes of continuing on with the new Convocation Center?
It is with this guy. He's got a lot of passion, and he's fun to be around. So, again, I think you have to value people not so much on their age, but what do they bring to the table? You know, how do they get along? What kind of fit are they? The good thing, again, going back to having the opportunity of seeing Sean and how he worked with our current student athletes, I think speaks volumes to where he'll be in the future and the energy that he brings to the floor. You'll be able to see it next year right over there, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, Sean, I know Kenny's pretty outspoken on the cost of attendance stuff. I'm just kind of wondering where you stand on that, and maybe if you've come across that in recruiting or anything.
No, you know, I know it's an impact issue. I know it's a big issue, especially with what these guys are dealing with every day. I'm confident in this situation that they'll do what's best for James Madison. I have come across it some in recruiting, but I think it's good to just get a feel for going forward as far as what really the impact is with, you know, recruits.
Anything else from the media? All right, well, thank you all again for joining us today and helping us make this a great welcome for Sean. And we'll have a few media obligations for Sean, but welcome you to stick around and say hello as we complete those obligations. Thank you again.
Enjoy it.
I wish I could just have practice right now, Jeff.
First things first, right?